All right, so well, that's the handover that we're seeing globally. That let's also take a look at what commodities are up to. Let's start by taking a look at what gold is doing, given all of this volatility that we are seeing when it comes to the global handover, the equity show, or even the geopolitical pressures that we are seeing. So let's start by understanding what gold is up to, and gold prices have eked out gains yesterday as the dollar and treasury yields slipped after the US economic data raised hopes that the Fed Reserve is firmly on track to cut interest rates this year. Spot gold was last up slightly more than one-tenth of a percent at $2,341.9 per ounce. So that's what's up with gold. But let's focus, talk about what crude oil is doing. And US crude oil has fallen more than 1% yesterday and is on the pace for its worst month of the year, as gasoline demand is soft with summer driving season now underway. US crude oil is down almost 5% in May. This is the WTI crude oil, of course, its worst performance since December. Brent has also lost 6.8% this month, putting the global benchmark on pace for its first negative month in the last 5 months. US gasoline stockpiles increased by 2 million barrels last week as demand fell by 100,000 barrels per day in the run-up to the Memorial Day holiday. This is according to data from the Energy Information Administration, or the EIA. Now, the daily average for gasoline demand came in at 8.6 million barrels per day, down 1.4% from the year-ago period. Investors are now looking ahead to inflation data today, as Shayansi mentioned, and a very crucial OPEC Plus meeting that will take place on Saturday. And let's also talk about this OPEC Plus meeting, all set for Sunday. This discussions expected to focus on maintaining current supply quotas. Analysts expect no major surprises from the virtual conference. Now, OPEC will review member countries' production capacities on 30th of June, setting the stage for potential increases in production later this year as well. So that's the lowdown on everything that's been happening in gold as well as oil. Some volatility being priced in over there as well, Shansi.
Well, absolutely, some volatility indeed. But when we take a look at the cues to watch, then you do have the India GDP. That will be very important to watch. And from China, then you also have manufacturing and non-manufacturing PMI data coming in. You do have TCS AGM. So there's a special dividend of ₹8. So keep an eye on TCS as well, and Inox Wind as well as REC will be mulling fundraise. Now, this one's for the cinema lovers because movie tickets will be slashed to 99 rupees. So that would be important, and hopefully we'll all head to the cinema since today is Friday as well. So the end of the week, and let's move on then. And it's the last day before exit polls as well, and the last day before auto sales. So those two important updates will be key to watch. And when you look at a couple of these counters like Platinum Industries or Exicom Telesystems, the lock-in period is ending for both of them, so those will also be in focus as well and in the spotlight. Now, in terms of other news, what you do have is Japan unemployment as well as Tokyo CPI data and industrial production and retail sales data also coming in. So all of those data sets will be key to watch as well. And in terms of some commentary, then you do have Atlanta Fed President Raphael Bostic who will be speaking, and it's the last day to link your PAN with Aadhaar to avoid higher TDS deduction as well. So keep an eye on that as well. And the cinema lovers day, like I mentioned, of course, movie tickets will be slashed to 99 rupees.
Absolutely. So, well, we're kickstarting the weekend on a good note, at least, for us over here as earnings season comes to an end. It's going to be good to go and catch a movie, Shayansi. But with that, let's also kickstart the global coverage of all the stories we're bringing to you this morning. Lots happening in the US. You have GDP data that came yesterday, personal consumption due today. You have commentary coming in. Of course, you have the historic Trump judgment that also coming in. So, well, we'll go through all of that in detail. But in the first quarter, the US economic growth slowed to 1.3%, down from a 1.6% estimate as consumer spending and inflation cooled. This follows a 3.4% growth rate in the previous quarter. This strengthens the case for the Fed to start cutting rates in September. Consumer spending growth was revised down to 2%, with significant declines in household spending on durable goods as well. So, well, on the back of this, at least we can expect some good moves coming in on Wall Street today, Shansi.
Well, absolutely. And in more macro cues from the US, then the Commerce Department will be releasing its measure of personal consumption expenditures prices later today. And this report, preferred by the Fed, is expected to show US prices rising at the slowest rate of the year at a 2.7% annual rate. And when you look at core inflation, excluding food and energy, what is forecasted is a slowdown to 0.2% thereabouts. So that is largely the update coming in there.
All right, let's move on to some commentary. Then, meanwhile, New York Fed President John Williams said that the core PCE data is important. It is not only the measure that the Fed will keep in mind. He stated that inflation is too high but should start declining later this year. He also offered no clear stance on rate cuts, noting the current restrictive policy is balancing the economy, but he also expects inflation to moderate in the second half of 2024, aiming for 2% by 2026.
Alright, then moving on, in a historic verdict, a New York jury found former President Donald Trump guilty of all 34 felony counts of falsifying business records related to a hush money payment to Stormy Daniels, and this marks the first time a former US president has been convicted of felonies. Trump, 77, faces up to 4 years in prison per count, though sentencing set for July 11th may not include prison time. Trump, who remains free and plans to appeal, described the trial as rigged and maintains his innocence.
Alright, well, that's the biggest update coming this morning, but let's move on. And Saudi Aramco plans to sell nearly $11.5 billion in additional stock starting Sunday. This offering includes 1.5 billion shares, and this follow-on offering comes after Aramco's record $29.4 billion IPO in 2019. The sale aims to fund Saudi Arabia's Vision 2030 projects to diversify its economy, and despite global energy shifts, Aramco remains attractive to investors with a dividend yield of 6.6%.
Alright, then let's